Join us for a review of the updated Audi Performance SUVs, Audi SQ8 and Audi SQ7. Let's go! Here in the front we can see a very strong styling with this single frame grille, and you will also see that the SQ8 here has a wider frame around the grille than the Q7. Headlamps start with LED as standard and the SQ8 optional then with matrix LED. There's a difference then to the SQ7 where you can get these headlamps also standard LED, but then not only matrix LED but exclusively for the Q7 in here. Also optional, these laser lights. Here we have the standard grille with the chrome frame around. Then you can see this area is not as wide as with the SQ8. So a little bit more subtle look you can say. So the Q8 in general has a sportier styling. But a difference is definitely you could also get the black accentuations for the SQ7. It's just a matter of preference. The length of the Q8 is 5 meters, 16'4" or 197 inches. And the difference is just that the Q7 is about 5 centimeters or 2 inches longer. They both share the very same wheelbase, it's just that the Q7 has a longer overhang in the rear and then also the option of a third seating row. The SQ8 comes with 21 to 23 inch wheels, whereas the SQ7 comes with 20 inch to 22 inch wheels. They come standard with an adaptive air suspension, and also the rear axle steering is now included for both models, so 5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels, so that reduces the turning circle by about a meter. Of course, also gives you more agility at lower speeds. At higher speeds, then the rear axle steers in the same direction up to 1.5 degrees. Quite obvious that the SQ8 has the sportier styling here with the falling line right here, and also the light strip that goes all the way over the vehicle. Very beautiful job. And again, the black accentuations also here in the lower part. And then we can see the SQ7 with the more upright style, that you have a little bit more space on the interior and very different tail lamp designs. So actually from the rear they are most different, we can say. And now the trunk comparison, we start with the SQ8. And the cool thing is really, because it's not this classic SUV coupe, you just lose a little bit of the height right here. That's what you lose in comparison to the Q7. The liter figure here around 600 liters in the capacity. And now the SQ7 here, the capacity is 865 liters, so more than 200 liters more than the SQ8. And we have removed first of all this cover, which would also automatically go up and down. And here the third seating row, and this can be folded up here also from here electronically. That's actually a very nice solution. And the main difference is, due to the longer overhang in the Q7, you have a longer trunk, that's the thing, and you have a little bit more height right here. We start with the interior overview here today, because SQ7, SQ8 is just the same right here. Horizontal stress, also then here with the vents. a lot of black piano lacquer use. However, here the styling elements in carbon fiber available here for the S models. Quattro logo will be illuminated at night with the ambient lighting. That's a very beautiful thing, definitely. The screen setup is as this: 12.3-inch digital instruments, 10.1-inch central screen, and 8.6-inch screen like this for temperature control, but also for address input in combination to that. Even though you have a lot of touch controls here, you will see it, it is easily reachable here also to control the temperature and so on. So for a touch solution, it's one of the best ones, I think. And then when you are in the GPS and want to have some address input, you can again either use the voice command, or it switches then here in the lower part to a keyboard, either like this, or especially while driving here, then for example you can just write Berlin or so, and then it's reacting on the top park. Audi does have one of the best virtual instruments here, boom boom, and with the RPMs. That's of course very cool to see. You can have the map in the middle part, small, or change the view to the map completely. This is of course one of the big advantages then of these digital instruments, because you are so flexible, especially then with the map view. The general seating comfort is quite good actually. And although the standard sports seat, if you are in the European market, would be a little bit more comfortable, this one then a little bit stiffer, just also from the surface. So, but still, considering for a sport seat, you still have a good long-term comfort. Now, what's the difference then to the SQ7? Remember here the A-pillar, how it looks like here. So, and then let's compare it directly to the SQ7. That's the good thing, because we have both vehicles here on location today. And first of all, as for the design, this can be, can be bought for both vehicles, but here we have design with the gray, to me a little bit, lighter and more likable, but that's of course personal preference, with the Alcantara, and also with the seat, again with the S stamping. But of course, in general, in the front, pretty similar, these two cars. And when I get inside right here, like this, see there's a little bit more space here as for the A-pillar. Headroom wise, also really plenty, a little bit more of course. So if you're really tall and want a panoramic roof, then you would have an advantage here with the SQ7. Now to the rear of the SQ8, you have plenty of legroom here left. So, and both cars share the same wheelbase, so legroom is not really the issue. And very comfortable here, more comfortable than in the big sedans or so on. And although this is here the SUV coupe, there's still a lot of headroom left, and this is also an advantage if you compare it to a BMW X6 or the Mercedes GLE. A lot of headroom, even more than in the Q8. It also goes back on to the further part. A little bit squeezed in, but it does work. And in this configuration, I could really sit here and behind this. And headroom, it's still okay when I leave my spine relaxed. Only when I put my spine up, then I do hit the head right there. But that's definitely the main difference here. SQ8, SQ7, you're more flexible. You can go for this third seating row, to just have more possibilities. So what do we have here is a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, cylinder on demand, mild hybrid, both inside for fuel economy, but for power output you have here 507 horsepower, 770 Newton meters of torque, and the acceleration figure is 4.1 seconds to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. If you compare, for example, an SQ8 to an RSQ8, is 0.3 seconds, is the RSQ8 faster and 100 horsepower more. But for that, you pay 25,000 euros more. Here, the SQ8, for example, 100,000 euros in Germany without extra equipment, or $90,000 in the US. But of course, with these big Audi vehicles, usually you could easily add some 30K options to the base price. we start with the SQ8 here on the test track, and let's just floor it out acceleration wise and do some dynamic driving. Let's go. Plop, that was already 160 kilometers an hour. Wow, that was spectacular. You could already see like how the car is lifting up in the front. Really cool. It's of course a heavy SUV, but still for such a heavy SUV, good driving dynamics. So here we're about 50 kilometers an hour and see in the slalom. And yeah, this again, look how precise it is steering wise. Incredible. We just exit here. Wow, that was pretty cool. So very precise from the steering wheel. So there's no dead area here whatsoever. Every single command is being transported. Really amazing. The steering setup is one of the best there is, not only for SUVs but also for cars in general. Of course, here in these corners, when accelerating out, you feel it's a rear wheel bias from this all-wheel drive. So there's no understeering or something, but you definitely do feel the weight of this vehicle. So considering it's a high-built car, you see it's hardly leaning at all. It stays really, really upright. And by the way, we can also see the difference here. ESC Sport, that's the one step. So if we go to the slalom here in ESC Sport, let's see what the car is doing. So sometimes I feel that it's like there's some interference. So when I put it completely off, so I hold it, that's of course just for racetrack purposes. Then I can do a little bit more with the vehicle, and it just feels a little bit more loose. And there you also hear some tire squeaking. And still we have a good comfort feeling. And even if you just drive it in the auto and in the comfort mode and so on, here, due to this optional anti-roll control, you see it's hardly shaking up. So even just in the comfort mode, it's very sporty. And at any time, you can just throw it out like this. Not so much sound feedback like in dynamic mode. Comparison here, dynamic mode. Yeah, I think that got quite clear. Also, the RPMs are turned up higher and so on. Shifting characteristics are being changed. So very impressive what they've done here with this big SUV. So, wow. And now we switch over to the SQ7, and interesting, we have the more classic gauges here. The other gauges were these performance gauges, but you can just pick them in the infotainment system which design you want to have, but you can see both very clearly. Let's see if there's any difference in driving between the SQ8 and the SQ7. Let's just do the very same. Plop, that's 160 again, and you really see how these gears were hammered in. Now EC is off. So let's see about that. That's better. That's better, yeah. But yeah, I have to say, it does feel a little bit different, right? Here we get now a little bit faster in this slalom. Let's see, high entry speed, so I have to work a little bit more. Wow, but I mean, this, again, a huge SUV, and you have very good control over it. So once again, this precise steering is something that is, to me, one of the coolest things here. Also here, let's drive a little bit faster. Lane change at about 100 kilometers an hour. Wow, so easily done once again. And also listen to the noise insulation. So when once again accelerating out of the corner, nice sound. And here, for example, typical motorway speed, 130 kilometers an hour. When I shift up, very silent. What a great noise insulation. So it's super, super silent in here. It's so relaxing to drive at the same time. You don't need much force in the steering. However, indeed, I'm a little surprised. I would have thought that they are exactly the same as for driving. They do come very close. But I think setup-wise, the SQ8 does give us a little sportier notch. And now to our conclusion for today with the new Audi SQ8 and the Audi SQ7. Both for sure very attractive SUVs, both with a sporty styling. Of course, here today with the black accentuations, that's just an option. You could also pick the black accentuations here on the Q7 or on the SQ7. The difference is really just a little bit overhang, a little bit more practicability for the Q7 and the option for the third seating row. And of course, here with the SQ8, a little sportier style, especially than in this rear part. So I think it's more a design versus practicability decision. Which one would I take? Well, this Q8 styling here is done in a way that it doesn't limit the back so much. So I personally probably would stick with the sporty design because I do not need the third seating row, but it might be different for other ones. So I think the design here, very sporty for an SUV. So is the driving. Really unexpected driving dynamics for such a big and heavy car. This is really very well done, especially the very precise steering. And if you compare it, for example, to the RSQ8, which we also have a video of, a very interesting one with beautiful landscape and great driving, you should check that out. We'll also link that video. This one here, 25,000 euros or dollars cheaper. Just for 0.3 seconds in the acceleration, it is slower than the RSQ8, so this is definitely a better price-performance ratio. The interior is with a high build quality and also very well to control. Yes, you also have a lot of touchscreen control, but it is very well executed and the menu structure is really simple. So I think very well to control, and the offering of space is good as well. That then, again, a little bit better in the Q7 or here the SQ7. And that they went for the petrol engines again. Yeah, I mean, you can understand that worldwide it just made more sense and it really more fits to these, to these performance cars. The only thing that is missing is an animal skin replacement especially for the US market. In Europe, we at least can get some Alcantara on the seats. Of course, you would need worldwide also sportier seats and also some that are a little bit more sustainable. Other than that, this is for a sporty SUV, almost perfection in the execution. So I hope you enjoyed our comparison episode for today. We surely did in producing it. And of course, tune in next time. Thank you so much.